I hear this question all the time. He's so nice and he's perfect on paper, so why don't I feel anything? And there are a few reasons that this might be, and I have been in this situation and it was incredibly painful because I think I really thought I could logic myself into love, because I was like, oh, this guy's so great, he's fantastic, he's tick, 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 and but I don't feel it. And it was such an awful experience, and that's why I want to do this video, so that, you know, no one else puts themselves and another amazing person through this. So I think there's a few things. Firstly, you need to ask yourself, like, am I just used to drama? Like, to the point where I've become habitually addicted to drama, that when someone peaceful, someone who's very secure in themselves comes around, I'm not able to receive that, because I'm like, oh no. Like, for me, I associate love with drama, with the, you know, rush and adrenaline and all this kind of things, because that is something that God can certainly heal you of. And to, you know, I suppose, like, when we're in a point where we've normalized drama, it's very difficult for us to be able to accept peace. And that can lead to unhealthy relationships. So that is definitely worth leaning into and asking yourself, and looking as well. It really helped me to read the book about attachment styles and to understand if I was coming from a place of avoidance or a place of anxiety, because I really want to move from a place of security. And amazingly, we are able to move into that space ourselves, but it takes work. It takes self-work and self-knowledge. So that's definitely the first thing to ask. Because if you're in that state of mind, safe can feel boring. And there is something really beautiful about safety when you can see it as stability and as a gift and not as boring. So that's something I would definitely implore you to look at and to see if you're experiencing that. Secondly, do you just love the idea of this person, or do you just love the idea of love? Are you overly attached to the outcome? Are you like, I really want to get married, I want to get married next year, I want to have children, I want to do this, this, this? Because I have certainly been there. I've been on that path of being so like, oh God, I want to control everything and I'm going to make this fit. Like, this is the circle and oh, that's a square, that's fine, I'm going to shove it in. And that doesn't work. If you are attached to if you are attached to the idea of someone, the idea of being married, you are using that person and you're not actually loving them, and it shouldn't come from that space. So ask yourself, like, am I just trying to fit the wrong person into the scenario that I feel is right for me, just not right now? Thirdly, are you leading with your head and your heart? Like, are you using both love and logic, or are you just going with one? Because trust me, trying to love someone pragmatically is really difficult. Like, yes, love is going to be a daily choice. Like, when you find that person, you're going to have to, on the daily, choose to love them, to put them above yourself, to choose to be with them. But I do think that there is something that prefigures that choice, and it's like a mystery, and it's something that the Venerable Fulton Sheen, Archbishop Fulton Sheen, talks about in his book 3 to Get Married, and it's amazing. It's beautiful because it's like this mystery. And there's another book called The Mystery of Men and Women by Edward Shree, and that's also fantastic because it just talks about this kind of magnetism that prefigures that logic and that choice. And it's not to say that slow burn love can't happen, because I absolutely believe it can, but there has to be something there. You can't reason yourself into loving someone. You have to have something there, and then you make the choice. You know, there's this amazing quote from St. Francis de Sales that says, be who you are and do that well. And when you are being really authentic to yourself, then you are going to authentically be able to attract someone who you really do love for who they are as well, and that they can be themselves around you. So I think if you are questioning it, it's because, yes, someone can be perfect on paper, but it doesn't mean that they're perfect for you. And those doubts can come up because you are just not really feeling it. And I think it's good to give it some time and to see if something grows. But the best summary of the 4 things that you really need for marriage are from this book that I read from Father Anselm Viano called Family Life. And he just puts it so clearly. He says these 4 points. So he says passion. But then he clarifies that animals have passions, you know, they have these physical desires, so that's not enough. So then you have emotional attraction, which is this, you know, emotional magnetism that you have with someone that you can't quite explain. You know, you just find them interesting, you want to talk to them, you want them to be the first person to know your news. Like these kind of things that just really draw you to another person. And then he goes on to say suitability and conviction. And suitability is a bit when it's like this box ticking exercise or like the perfect on paper, right? You're like, oh, but he's so suitable for me. And then the conviction might be, you know, I really want to be married. I want to start a family. But Father Anselm does say that without all four, it's going to be really hard to be able to move forward with a really fruitful and healthy marriage. And that was so humbling to me, because I was like, okay, because I think I was coming from this scarcity mindset of, oh, but there's 2 out of 4. I've got the suitability and the conviction. Like, how can that not be enough? And I'm sure you've had, and I've had relationships which have been a mishmash of like 1 or 2, but never the 4. And I think that's really beautiful to look out for that. And I don't think it's unrealistic. I don't think it's, you know, crazy to want that, to want someone that you're emotionally drawn to, that you have a physical passion with, although that shouldn't just be the foundation or the basis. And then you have the suitability, you know, you are aligned on values, you're aligned on faith. And then you have the conviction, you know where you guys want to go together. And, you know, that for me was just really helpful to always have that in my head, that kind of criteria. I think it's really just such a good tool to have in your toolbox of discernment, especially when you are in the dating scene and trying to date for marriage. So to conclude, I think that, you know, there does have to be a mixture of values and attraction with someone. And if you are going through this where you're thinking something doesn't feel right, and this person's really great, but something just doesn't sit right, bring that to God. Bring that to God. Pray and ask God, you know, please, like, if you want to close this door, just make it so obvious for me. Like a very short prayer I like to always say to God is like, please bless this or block it. Because I think God knows, like, I'm pretty stupid at reading signs, and I don't know if that's how God communicates with us. I don't know if he sends us signs, or, you know, if also the devil is using signs to try to distract you. And also I will say that there is an element of spiritual warfare when it comes to, you know, the devil hates marriage. So he is probably going to give you doubts and things as well. But you need to try and see, like, is this coming from God or from the devil? Is this relationship making me feel at peace? And is this relationship making me feel at peace, or is it making me feel anxious? Is it giving me, you know, anxiety and fear? So I hope this helps you in your level of discernment and understanding, you know, like, but how come I didn't, you know, like that guy? How come I couldn't fall in love with that guy? And maybe this helps you to understand more, to trust yourself, to trust your gut, and to know that, you know, most of the time, God does put healthy and holy desires on our hearts, which we're able to discern are from God. I say most of the times because obviously sometimes the devil can be really fooling to us and can distort, you know, good things in our minds, and we can get very confused. So it's always just discerning, which isn't easy, and it's a muscle I'm definitely trying to grow. But anyway, I love those like 4 criteria from Father Anselm, so I hope they're helpful to you as well. Okay, bye.